This is Chris Guzman with your Bolo Punch Boxing Hour, brought to you by George Rogie Insurance, www.hssp.cc, sportsjuice.com. I got Emil Soda-Popinski Kegelmein, Timmy the producer Patterson here, and we have got the fight of the decade, definitely. We've got Floyd Mayweather Jr. is going to be taking on Oscar de la Hoya, the golden boy versus the pretty boy, and when you have a fight of this magnitude, you got to go to the top. You can't just mess around with any old sports writer or, any old boxing writer for that matter. You got to go straight to the top. You got to go to Bert Sugar. Bert, how you doing tonight, sir?
Chris, I think I'm doing fine. It's still early, and it's still a lot to do here in Vegas, I got to tell you.
What's the tone out there? Now, you just got into town. I know you wanted to get into town a little bit earlier today, but what is the tone like out there in the city?
I got to tell you, this is the old-time buzz. People, it's Wednesday. Usually the press room is a bocce court on Wednesday. This is fun. I mean, usually you can't find anybody. You go to the bar looking for Heidi Fleisch's going out of business sale. But this is wonderful. There are more people here than I usually see on a late Friday at about the time for the weigh-in. This is really a big fight in terms of the hype, the excitement. It's an event. It's not just a fight.
So talk to me a second. I mean, I'm going to ask you, obviously about strategies and all that, and I'll ask you for a final pick at the end. But I want to start off with Oscar de la Hoya. Has he fought anyone of Floyd's speed in the past? I think I know the answer to this question, but I want to get your take on this. As far as speed, has Oscar fought anyone of the caliber of Floyd?
Sugar Shane Mosley.
What about Pernell Whitaker? Do you think Pernell Whitaker would?
Pernell Whitaker had speed, but what Pernell had was something very few people had, and that was, sort of a radar-like instinct. It almost was like he took a four-way cold tablet and had to run three more ways to catch up with it. You couldn't hit him.
Very true.
It was it was speed of body, not necessarily just of hands.
Yes, sir. How do you think Freddie Roach is going to do for this one fight, working with Oscar? They've never worked together before.
Freddie is, to me, one of the best trainers there is. He is a disciple and an acolyte of Eddie Futch, the legendary Eddie Futch.
The greatest of all time.
And I think he's going to bring a lot to bear. He's already been training him on the mechanics, the moving inside, the how to muscle him, a la what Jose Luis Castillo.
Yep.
Jose Luis Castillo did to Floyd in the beginning of their fight. He's engendering a lot of things in Sugar Shane Mosley in camp, showing them some of Floyd's moves. So I really think he's prepared him, and I think he's going to bring a lot to the table in terms of his training direction and his management of the corner.
After this fight, do you foresee Floyd Sr. Coming back to Oscar?
Not really.
Okay, you think
Not
that's
really.
done?
I think that Oscar has always had a problem, particularly now that Floyd Jr. and Floyd Sr. and it's a dysfunctional family. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, I have seen. Really, I think the Sunnis and the Shiites get on better terms than Floyd Sr. and Jr.
Well, I was going to ask you next about Floyd's family issues. Is that going to cloud the issue any with this fight? Or
no, once the bell rings, I think that they're off on their own. Everybody makes a big to-do about this. Most of these fighters, the minute the bell rings, that's their concentration, or they aren't where they should be. These two guys are.
Do you think Floyd's antics outside the ring are just for show so they can draw some more fans in, or do you think he's actually like that in real life?
I know him in real life. He ain't like that. Yes, he's a little cocky, for crying out loud. He's young and can't afford to be. At my age, everybody's young, so he's young. I find him a very nice kid. Now, he's doing this punk aspect.
Yeah,
to play good guy, bad guy. There's a black hat and there's a white hat.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, despite the fact that both of them are making enough money to go into unlisted tax brackets, they get a percentage of every pay-per-view. So every time he POs somebody, and they tune in, he gets more money. Why not? It's the Gorgeous George approach. If you remember the stories about the old wrestler.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Ali used to do that. Hate me and come to see me beat and just fill the seats in the house.
Do you actually think he's going to retire after this fight? Mayweather keeps saying he's going to retire.
I don't think so. First of all, if this is a good enough fight, and I think it will be, there might be, and I didn't want to tell you this, a rematch.
Oh, no fake. Oh, of course there will be.
I don't think that was any secret.
No, they're going to make too much money on this one to not have a rematch.
Well, also the fight fans will demand it because what other fights out there could be as much interest?
Very true.
Only Mosley. Mosley would be the only one I would think of.
Yeah, and I don't think because of Oscar's inbuilt constituency, the Latino crowd, that wouldn't draw 1 to 10. So if this fight's as good as I think it is, and as good as the ballyhoo, by the by, this is the most ballyhooed fight since Leonard and Hearns in '81.
Yes. I'm sorry.
And if it quits the ballyhoo, there's a second fight.
Bert, I got to ask you, has Floyd fought anyone who is even close to as strong as Oscar is? I mean, you talked about Castillo, talked about Diego Chico Corrales. Has anyone been able to throw the kind of shots at Floyd the way Oscar will be able to Saturday night?
Well, here's the one thing about it, though, and you've got to consider this. He was fighting Castillo as a lightweight. Now he's a lightweight and drag up at 154, moving from 135. And I don't know if you remember the Newton law of equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah.
I think I was the only class I was awake for in physics. But, if a bigger man hits you, it's going to hurt more, and if you hit him, it won't hurt as much. And besides that, add one more thing about Floyd. He has fragile hands.
Yes.
So power is all in the column of De La Hoya.
So when you have a fighter like Floyd that starts out at such a low weight and works his way up like he does, we haven't seen my big question is, does his speed look like it's going to translate into this heavier weight class? He keeps moving up and up and up in weight. He moved up to welter a couple of years ago, and now he's up here. Is that speed going to translate?
I think some of it will. It depends. Look, everything is relative except maybe Eve telling Adam about all the men she could have married. But you look faster if you're standing there looking at a statue. Remember the fight with Roy Jones Jr. and John Ruiz?
Oh, yes.
I mean, John Ruiz did everything but have pigeons on his shoulders. So Roy looked fast, and he could take that speed up to heavyweight. So it depends whom Mayweather is fighting. Now, ironically, De La Hoya has the speed of hand almost as much as Mayweather, but nothing in terms of the speed of foot. And Floyd has one other aspect. He has radar-like instincts, a la now your analogy of Purnell is on all targets.
There we go.
Neither of them can be hit in the backside by a handful of buckshot if they don't want it to be.
Very true.
So you've got that for Floyd, but the problem, he's got two problems. Number one, he comes in with his chin held high, and his speed has covered it up. It hasn't been seen because he's so fast.
Yeah.
That you see that.
Yep.
Number two, when he gets off the ropes, he puts his hand up in front of his face, and he bends to his right. No, he bends to his left. I'm sorry, he bends to his left usually, and that allows him to get out of there, but he's also exposing his body for a left hook, and De La Hoya is a turnaround left-hander, and that left hook has been tremendously underestimated.
That's Oscar's bread and butter punch right there.
Yeah, and he's a turnaround. He writes left-handed, he throws baseballs left-handed, etc. So Oscar has that going for him. Floyd has the other aspect going for him. That's why I think this is going to be a very close fight.
Let's talk legacies for a second, since both of these guys are pretty much in the twilight of their careers. I mean,
I don't know that Floyd is. I mean, Oscar is, yeah.
I'm just going off of what he's saying. I've got to go off what the man says. I know that's part. I know that's got to be part of the selling of all this. So.
Yeah, Mayweather's telling us he's greater than Sugar Ray Robinson. Now that whirring sound, W-H-I-R-I-N-G, that turning sound, that grinding sound you hear in the background.
Yes.
That's Sugar Ray Robinson spinning in his grave every time he says it.
What does a win mean for Oscar? Let's talk about Oscar for just a second. What does a win here mean for him?
It cements his legacy. It cements it. What does it mean for Floyd? It begins to make it. Because, as you know and I know, greatness, and I wrote a book last year called Boxing's Greatest Fighters, in which I listed them 1 to 100.
Yes, you did.
And I don't have either of these in. They're both on the cusp at 101. And each is waiting to come in, and probably will off this fight or another fight. But to be in the great pantheon of greatness in boxing, you've got to meet and beat other greats. Now, would somebody please tell me all the greats that Mayweather's beaten? Go ahead. You got a week. I'm busy.
Couple of potential Hall of Famers in there. Nothing crazy, but yeah, a couple of Hall of Famers probably.
Diego Corrales, Jose Luis Castillo, maybe.
I could see those two perhaps. Yeah.
Well, Gotti will probably end up being a Hall of Famer, but not.
Oh yeah. If the Italians wrote from Patterson and Bayonne, New Jersey.
Yes, sir.
He'll make it just for those wars that he fought because of the fight.
Yeah, with Mickey Ward. We'll bring him in. Like last year, they brought in Chico Gonzalez and Chico Gonzalez and Carbajal because they had 3 fights.
Chiquita Gonzalez, that was great.
Yeah, Chiquita Gonzalez. What you'll get is maybe Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti, but that's not a great. I hate to tell you. And I'm a big fan of Arturo. He gave me more thrills than most fighters do.
We're huge Gotti fans as well, but I mean, if Ken Norton's in the Hall of Fame, Bert. If Ken Norton's in
the you want to hear the worst part? Bert Sugar's in the Hall of Fame.
I know.
Who the hell would I be? And even worse, Jose Suleiman is coming in. Boy, he almost beat the whole sport.
No, I don't want to comment on Jose Suleiman. Are we going to be seeing you in Canastota this year for this year's induction?
Oh, sure.
Beautiful.
Oh, sure. That's I always loved the Boxing Hall of Fame. I'm writing a book with the Baseball Hall of Fame, and I tell them this. The Boxing Hall of Fame is the most fan-friendly Hall of Fame of all the Halls of Fame. People can go up and talk to the people. They can get autographs, exchange views. They don't have to wait like they do at other Halls of Fame behind ropes and wave at them maybe from 100 yards away. The Boxing Hall of Fame is for the fans, and it's made by the fans, and I love it.
Last question here. I know you're a very busy man out there in Vegas. What is next on ESPN Classics ringside? We just saw Sugar Ray Leonard and Pernell Whitaker. Who do we got next? I got to know.
Next week, I've got a big one. I've got the trilogy between Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield.
Oh, there we go.
And we went to interview both of them with exclusive interviews. And I think it'll be enjoyable. Plus the fact that all 3 of those fights stood out for different reasons. The first fight, the great 10th round when Bowe wins. The second fight, Evander returns the favor, plus you get the Fan Man.
Fan Man. Got it.
I tell you a very quick story on that. I was there when the Fan Man hit, and he's entangled in the ropes, and Bob Ryan, the great writer for the Boston Globe, but he's a basketball writer, comes over and he says, Bert, you've been to a lot of these. You ever seen anything like this before? I said, Bob, if you come to more of these, you will know this happens in every outdoor fight at Caesars.
Oh, yes.
And he just stood there looking at me. And then the third fight, where each of them knocks down the other for the first time in each other's career.
Yes.
I mean, you've got 3 great fights where we work off the trilogy and these 2 men and the 3 fights, and it's going to be great on ESPN Classic next week.
Bert, I thank you for taking the time.
Chris, as always. Always.
I've got to ask you, who's your pick? Who's your pick for Oscar and Floyd?
I've got it even, but I've got Mayweather a little bit on the plus side, so I'll say Mayweather with the understanding that I did pick Custer at Little Bighorn, but I had 7.5 points. I think I was scalping tickets.
Author of about 12,000 books and host of ESPN Classics Ringside, Bert Randolph.
And I've got 2 books coming out one for Christmas, one next spring. The one for Christmas is I'm writing it with Angelo Dundee. It's his book, My View from the Corner, and it's forward by Muhammad Ali, and it's about Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard and George Foreman and Carmen Basilio and all the fighters he handled. And then next spring I've got the official Baseball Hall of Fame book, because I'm a big baseball fan, and they've asked me to do their official museum book.
Well, I just read your Jackie Robinson piece, so you've been a very busy boy.
Oh yeah, and I've got a piece up on HBO pay-per-view this week. I have one next week on ESPN.com. So I write on bathroom walls, lipstick,
And
women's rooms with two hands.
You've also got an interview on BoloPunchBoxingHour.com.
And you guys have been fun to put up with. Let's do it again.
Thank you much, sir. We'll talk to you soon. Bert Randolph Sugar.
Please.